you came up with a system that I love that you run all of our clients through. And it's you basically came up with the 5 ways that you spend money on your healthcare. And you basically showed them where, like, the money that you pay in, how it protects the 5 ways you can spend money on your healthcare and how the plan will work. Basically, you took what are the 5 ways? Anyways?
So, yeah, and what I start with first is there's 2 most important parts of your plan, and that's the network, who takes it, is it PPO? That's the most important question. And then second, is it have a max out of pocket if it's out of network?
All right. So what does that mean? So network means you can't get in the door if you're out of network.
Correct. You can get in the door, but you're going to pay for full price.
So you're uninsured if you get in the door.
Basically, yes.
And a lot of times they won't even let you in the door.
That's right. If you're out of network.
All right. So network's important. It doesn't matter how great the plan is if nobody accepts it. Right.
That's right.
All right. And then out of pocket max, what does that mean?
That means that if you've got a claim of $2 to $3 million because you've got cancer and you've been in the hospital for 6 months, that no matter how much that claim goes up to, it can go up to $5 million, that there's a max amount that you're going to pay. And just for an example, on our plan, the max we're going to pay if that happens is $7,000.
So the most we could pay over any claim, even if it was a $3 million brain aneurysm or whatever else, is $7,000
if it's
for
in
that
network.
year.
Mm-hmm. If it's out of network, it's $16,000. But again, like, I would take $16,000 over $3 million any day.
And we have the biggest and largest network that's offered today.
Correct.
See, it's not that hard. You just got to know an expert like old Riri
That's
here.
right.
So, all right. So the 5 ways you spend money. So what number? So the 2 most important things in a health plan are: do you have the best network?
Yep.
Okay. Do you so what's the quality of your network? And then, are you covered in, is there an out-of-pocket max? Meaning, like, what you pay that calendar year over any claim, there's a stop on it, right? Once you've hit a certain amount, it's done. A lot of people think that's what their deductible is.
And it's the follow-up is if it's out of network, because so many plans look good on the front end, they're lower price. And then you kind of get into the nuts and bolts of the policy and realize that if it's out of network, your out-of-pocket is unlimited.
And like, like the plan that we have, most agents can't access that. You have a unique contract where you can shop and advise on 100% of the plans in the United States, including some that very few people have access to.
That is correct.
That's awesome. All right. The 5 ways that you spend money on your health care. Let's go 1 through 5, and then I'll let you do your thing, right? So what's number 1?
Premium.
So what is the premium? That's their monthly
bill that you pay
to have insurance. All right. What's number 2?
Prescriptions.
All right. So like if you take prescriptions on the regular.
Correct.
Right? Not just because of antibiotics or due to an illness, but like
just maintenance medication.
There. All right. Number 3.
Number 3 is sickness.
Sickness. All right. Would that? Okay. I feel like that would cover them all, but there's more apparently. All right.
Accident.
Okay. Accident. So that wouldn't be considered a sickness. Okay.
And then critical illness. That's life-threatening.
So like what would be some critical illnesses? Cancer, I guess. Heart attack, stroke.
Yeah. Cancer, heart attack, stroke, liver failure, things like that.
Yeah. There was the old CASH acronym: cancer, accident, stroke, heart attack. That's where you want to make sure that you protect your cash, right? Your cash is protected. I love that. You're learning today, Jensen, ain't you, baby? Come on. All right. So the 5 ways you spend money on your health care. So your premium is your monthly payment. That's self-explanatory. And your prescriptions, your maintenance prescriptions. That's so basically, I've heard you do it. If they spend $1,000 a month on their premium, and let's say $150 on their medications, you basically say you spend $1,150 a month on basic stuff before any claims and whatnot, right?
Yep.
All right. So that leaves sickness, accident, and critical illness. Where would you start from there?
I guess with sickness, premium and prescriptions are pretty self-explanatory. So sickness, there's 2 parts to sickness. There's just like your common flu, strep throat, pink eye, stomach bug, just, the things that you're going to spend hundreds of dollars on if you don't have doctor's visits in your plan or access to an on-call doctor.
The on-call doctor's big.
Yeah, just the minor stuff. The second part of sickness is, to me, it's the things that are going to put you in the ER that aren't necessarily life-threatening. So kidney stones, appendicitis, diverticulitis, gallbladders, anything female related, like if you have a ruptured cyst, you're going in to the ER because you're having chest pain and it ends up being anxiety. Those are the things that that's where your deductible is definitely coming in.
Wow. So again, not all, like the plans pay out specifically. So but we feel like we kind of make insurance a vague thing. So like the plans pay differently based on the type of sickness, right? And versus accident, critical illness. Then okay, you're tracking here. So the big, you want to make sure that you have a low enough deductible that the sickness doesn't hurt if you have the gallbladder thing or the appendicitis. Because like, dude, my appendicitis thing, I think my granddad settled for like $18,000 because it ruptured. So and the bill was probably six figures.
At least, yeah. So
it would have killed. We would have never recovered from that.
That was 15 years ago. I can't imagine what that price is now.
That's crazy. That's right. That's right. So okay, so your sicknesses are what you're really insuring with your sickness isn't the common cold and those things. It's really for the big ER things where maybe like you get admitted from. And
most of the time you're admitted for a night or two. It's it's not life-threatening. And in the time, it may feel like it. I have a lot of clients that go to the ER and they get these bills and like, well, I thought I was having a heart attack or I was having chest pain, and they go and it ended up being anxiety. I mean, that's where you're going to meet your deductible. That is where that's going to kick in. You'll get a network discount, but then anything left over, you're going to pay and be responsible for until you meet the deductible at that negotiated rate.
All right. Number 4 is accidents. Is that where you want to go next?
Sure. Yeah. So just right down the line, accidents, that can be, so many different things. You have your broken bones. For whatever reason, people always say car accidents. Side topic, car accidents. If you have a car accident, the motor vehicle insurance pays out before the medical insurance, just so people are clear on that, because that's a very confused thing. People confuse that all the time. But it's your broken bones. You got food poisoning, you had allergic reaction, a hernia, maybe you're lifting weights.
Bug bites or like
a torn ligament because you're 40 trying to play kickball thinking you're 25,
Stop, I'm right
yes.
here.
Those are the accidents, the school, Ethan was running around with the dog. We told him to quit. And the next thing you hear is a crash and he busted his head open. Accident. ER. So those are the most common big bills are the accidents. And what's, I think special in these policies is you can add supplements to protect them, to protect your out of pocket. So if your deductible is $5,000 on an accident, you can add a policy that's roughly $30 to $50 depending on the person. And you can pretty much cover that deductible. So, I show everybody that option first and then they can take it off if they want. Most people don't, especially I would feel like most of our clients have kids and kids are going to have accidents. It's inevitable at some point.
That's right. That's right. And again, and when you go to the ER, it's emergency room. So it's emergency service. So anything that is rushed is escalated in price.
It's convenient.
Yeah.
And waiting.
And most accidents, you don't wait till Monday to go see your doctor. You got to go to the ER. So you got to have good accident coverage. Got it. All right. And number 5, the critical illness.
The critical illness, cancer, stroke, heart attack, anything that is life-threatening. In 2020, COVID became a critical illness because people were being hospitalized, and for days. And so that became a part of a critical illness. But the big stuff, I think the one thing most people worry about now is cancer. And I believe heart disease is, it's a big killer in women. I don't know the statistics on that, but it's pretty out there. And most people don't know that, So yeah, it's the big stuff, the life-threatening.
And the way that you like to do those in is I want to break down. So let's do a breakdown of an accident claim and a critical illness claim, and hell, a sickness claim while we're at it. Let's just go right down the list. So you can kind of talk about how, let's just say it's a traditional plan like ours, where there's a deductible and a co-insurance. All right, and then there's a stop loss or out of pocket max, right? So let's just say, and we won't say what sickness it is, but let's just pick a round number to show them how it works. So first of all, what are the details of the insurance plan? You just want to use the plan we have as an example?
Well, I'll just use our plan. That plan doesn't necessarily exist anymore because we got it so long ago. A version of that plan. Yes, we get to keep it. The most common plan that I give as a proposal to people as a quote is it's a $5,000 deductible.
Okay.
Once you've met that deductible, the plan will pay 80% of the cost after the negotiated rate. Then and you pay 20%. So I always use the phrase of, look, the 5,000, it's an artery. You've hit the money. You're bleeding all the money out. Like, it's coming. Once you've stopped the bleeding, it slows down a little bit. Now you're only paying $2,000 at that 20% rate.
Okay. So the most you could pay in the year would be $7,000.
Correct.
Based on deductible and co-insurance, and then boom, you're done paying. Mm-hmm. No matter what else happens the rest of that year, you're good.
If it's a covered service, whether it's the sickness or accident or critical illness.
Got it. It's 100% paid after that. Okay. This is cool. So, and by the way, so again, like the network that we have, we're not technically supposed to say there's we're not supposed to say a number that network, because every one of them is different based on the provider and all that kind of stuff. Literally every provider you go to has a different network reduction, a network discount.
And they change every single year.
All right. So, but let's just say on average, because it's with the network that we have, it's usually more than 50% on average.
I've been giving like 30 to 50%.
Okay.
Because so many, like the facilities just change so much.
30 to 50%.
Yeah.
All right. So 30 to 50%. So the reason I'm saying that is because let's say it's 50% for easy math. All right. So to hit your $5,000 deductible, it's got to be a $10,000 claim.
Yep.
Right. Or a $10,000 bill. And that's that's after network reduction. Right. So am I tracking?
So let's say.
Oh, sorry. It's a $10,000 bill.
Yeah. So let's just for a sickness. If you had a sickness like your diverticulitis, you went to the ER twice. Mm-hmm. Twice in 1 month, you went to the ER, had scopes, had all these things done. We did not even hit a $6,000 deductible on 2 ER visits. That's because the network discount took off 70% of the actual charges of those bills.
All right. So I'm tracking now. So let's say it's a $20,000 bill. All right. It's a $20,000 bill. And it had a 50% network reduction. So that means there's $10,000 left, mm-hmm. right? Well, you paid $5,000 of your deductible, all right? And now you're paying 20% of the next $5,000, which would be $1,000. So you've paid $6,000 total on a $20,000 bill, and you only spend $1,000 more before you hit that $7,000 out-of-pocket max before you're 100% covered on all covered items after that.
That's right.
That's awesome. So think about that, guys. When you have a $5,000 deductible, well, that's after network reduction. If you got a great network, that's a really big thing. And then it's 20% of everything until you hit the next $2,000 or like $7,000 total for your out of pocket. That's your out of pocket max. Mm-hmm. And so like think about how big of a bill that has to be. And the real question is like, well, guys, like, if I'm talking to you right now, have you ever spent that much money in a year on your insurance or on your medical? They're probably like, no. I'm like, cool. Then that means you're probably in really good shape, right? Because I'm assuming this is for mostly healthy people.
Correct.
Okay. So we're talking about a private policy for what would be considered healthy people. They can afford to pay for their health insurance.
Yeah, I would just, limited pre-existing conditions. There are some conditions that can be covered. If you're more than 2 to 3 maintenance medications, it would be questionable. But again, that's why we do free consultations with everyone to see if they qualify. I'm not even going to go into this information with someone until I know on my end from the field underwriting that I can do based on my underwriting guidelines, if it's something I'm going to even present to them,
right.
Or if I'm going to say, you know what, meet my partner that can help you with a plan that's going to be better for your situation.